Welcome to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. I'm so glad you're here. We're all about diving into the nitty-gritty of real estate, sharing insights, tips, and some awesome interviews straight from the industry's beating heart. From the latest trends to cool investment strategies, we've got you covered. Let's explore and uncover all the essential tools and knowledge you need for navigating the ever-evolving world of property and housing. Here we go. Hi, welcome back to The Real in Real Estate. This week, we're going to talk to Mauri about home warranties. And there are a lot of facts and myths that we need to address and dispel. So thank you very much for joining us, Mauri.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be in this business.
Yeah, so I originally started at a real estate office. I actually was doing like admin work at a real estate office, and that's kind of when I started to learn about real estate agents and how they tick and how the whole industry kind of works. And it led into home warranty, and I've been doing it now for this is almost 15 years. So 15
Wow,
years of warranty. Yeah.
that's a long time. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like that you have a little real estate background so you understand what we're doing and addressing as we go through the process.
Yeah, it was really helpful in the beginning. I'm not a licensed real estate agent because that would be a conflict of interest, of course.
Right.
But even at that time, I was not. I was just kind of really helping. But it was good for me because then I was able to dive into home warranty and have a background of what do agents need? Where is it in the contract? What's vital for them? Who's doing what, really? Because there's a lot of pieces to real estate that
Oh
I think
my,
a lot of people don't understand or know.
no,
So.
they don't. And my gosh, there is a lot, a real lot, a lot. Anyway, you're right. There's actually a section in the contract for home warranties. We call it residential service contracts. So they are kind of a big deal. They are kind of important. But why
Yeah.
don't you just give us an overview of what a home warranty is if anyone is confused or doesn't really know?
Yeah. So, what a home warranty is, and a lot of times people confuse us with homeowners insurance. So, the first thing that I like to make sure people understand is we're not homeowners insurance. Those are kind of for the bigger things that happen: fires, floods, roof damage, kind of the big ticket we hope never happens sort of things. That's
Right.
what home insurance is, right? Home warranty is kind of more of the nuisance annoyance things like air conditioners going out at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, or the water heater not working. You go to jump in the shower and you have no hot water, or you're baking cookies and for some reason the oven's not warming up. All of those things are kind of home warranty related. So when you're thinking about warranty, we're anything that's inside the box of the home that has a system, a mechanical system. So think plumbing is like going to be water heaters or, like toilet stoppages or leaky faucets, things like that. We
Garbage
also do,
disposal?
yep, those two. That would fall more under an appliance, but sure.
Okay.
Electrical, so like any GI switches, things like that. Um, Air conditioning, which is like one of the biggest ones for us in Houston. We're always talking about air conditioning,
Yeah.
heater, ductwork, and then appliances. So washer, dryer, refrigerator, ranges, stoves, microwaves. So it's things like that that have a mechanical part. Something has to break in order for us to repair something. How it typically works with most home warranty companies is if it's not repairable, they'll replace it, but they're always going to start with a part first. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what home warranty is.
Okay. Well, as we mentioned, there is an actual section in the contract for residential service contracts. Not everyone chooses to get one or negotiate for one. So who needs a home warranty?
In my
Everybody?
opinion, I think everybody does.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially, it's been kind of an interesting market the last few years when sellers are kind of in charge. We see home warranties kind of get pushed to the side, which, I don't think is a good idea. If you're a seller, if you're selling a house, I still think you should provide one to the buyer because it's something that can keep you guys out of litigation down the road. It's funny to me how many people will fight in court over a refrigerator. So having a warranty in place, for example, really helps kind of with those problems after the fact. But I think everybody really should have one. I have a couple different rental properties and I have one on every single one for tenant situations. I have it even if it's not in the contract and the seller isn't buying it for the buyer. it is really important, I think more now than ever with the cost of everything going up.
Yes.
Home repairs are not exclusions to that. So I have seen AC repairs and water heater repairs. Those have over time really went up, but I would say in the last 2 or 3 years, they've really jumped up in replacement price. So I think everybody should have one just as a buffer. It's good to know that home warranty companies, they're not emergency service companies, but they're budget protection plans to help aid in the cost of those things. I mean, my grocery bill, shoo, is through the roof anymore. So like you can imagine what a new air conditioner would cost or a new water heater or a new stove. So I think everybody should buy them. It's a benefit for your clients to make sure to reach out to you and then you reach out to me so that they're getting a real estate product. Real estate agents and their clients, we have a dedicated product for them that actually covers more. So
Oh,
we can sell that to anybody. It's just as long as they're coming as a referral from you. So yeah, I think everybody needs one.
okay.
100%.
Well, I do want to talk about ACs in a little bit, and I also want to talk about sellers getting a home warranty prior to negotiations. But ha tell me, how does a home warranty make the consumer's life easier? Tell us a little bit about the process.
So I always say text or text, whether you have a home warranty or not. And getting on their schedule is always going to be a challenge because I mean, I've been trying to get a roofer out to my house for a few weeks now. So
Oh, I have a good one I can recommend, by the way.
please. So it's easier because it's already done for you. You don't have to go search for a plumber. You don't have to go search for reviews about plumbers and who's good and who's not. And it's really a simple process because all you have to do is file a claim, which we have an app for now, which there's an app for everything, right? But most
Right.
file claims right from their phone. And it gets that ball rolling for them, and they don't have to waste a whole lot of time without an appliance or without air conditioner because they're trying to locate a technician. So the first thing that it does for consumers is it makes their life simpler. The second thing is we negotiate rates with technicians, so we're not paying retail. And that's a huge one that we don't talk about a lot in the industry is that when a client has a home warranty, they're instantly saving money on stuff that we've done and negotiated months and months and months ago. So rather it's where they're getting another or they're getting a new air conditioner. Well, we have at Choice, we have such buying power for air conditioners because we're nationwide. So we're buying thousands of Lennox ACs per year
Yeah,
versus even the top AC tech in Houston, right? So we're passing that savings to the buyer. I think
that's
that's one
great.
thing that doesn't get talked about a
No,
lot.
I
So
didn't.
really,
No.
you're saving money that way too.
That's good. I didn't know that either. Well, I know when I pick up my app and I put in that, my oven is not heating properly, it will process. I will pay and this is true, I think, for all home warranties. I'll pay a certain amount that's part of your policy, whether it's 65, 75, whatever it is per policy. They will come out and they will repair it, hopefully. If they cannot repair it, then at some point it will be replaced. But clarify for me, I think I would still have to, as a consumer, contribute toward that replacement in most cases. Is that correct?
With appliances, not generally, because appliances are
Oh,
pretty cut and dry.
okay.
A lot of times, and especially with appliances now, we've been doing a lot of cash outs. So because there's a supply and demand situation with appliances, so it's easier to just say, hey, your dishwasher is shot, it needs a wiring harness. That's what's going to replace it. But we have no idea when we're going to get the ETA on the wiring harness. Would you just like some cash for a new one? We've been doing a lot of that. We've sent out polls. Consumers would rather just go buy something else anyway, especially if they've bought a house recently because they're eyeballing different appliances anyway.
Sure.
Like it came with the house and they're already kind of looking. So that's worked out well. In an air conditioner situation, yes, a lot of times there will be some non-covered costs that are associated with an AC replacement. That's just because it's such a large job. So there are going to be some things that are non-covered. But let's say an air conditioner is $9,000 to $12,000 retail. clients in my top plan, which that's really valuable and vital too, you got to make sure that you have top plans with home warranty companies because
Okay.
that's really where all the bells and whistles are. So speaking for my top tier clients, like the ones that have the top plan, they may not be spending more than like 1,200 bucks on non-covereds on an AC
Wow.
replacement.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so they're happy. There's
Yeah, I
nothing
would
to
be
be upset
happy.
about. Yeah. So now it does make a huge difference from the middle plan. So even for an $80 difference, I tell people you might see it in one claim. So you might as well just go for the better plan.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What about if someone has an old AC and they need to move to a newer product? And I
Mhm.
know there have to be some old ACs still out there. How does that work with, I know you can't speak for all home warranties, but in your case,
Yeah, so the good thing at Choice is we don't have an age discrimination on units. There are some home warranty companies, and you got to be really careful in reading that. I hate to say fine print, but you have to read that.
right?
Some will say, "Oh, it's 12 years old and it's past its lifetime, so we're not doing anything." At us, we will not. We help with that changeover. So as again, in a situation like that, they may have some non-covers. They probably will, but it's not as high as you might think because the switching out is not that complicating. So
Okay.
yeah, they've
I
got coverage for that too. We've done plenty of them this summer that have had older units.
Okay. That's good to know. Let me clarify something for myself, if not for everybody else. So when you say the cash out, then I would go out and buy my dishwasher, say for instance, I would have somebody else install it. Do I call you back or how does that work?
No, what we usually do on an appliance cash out is we're done with it. So we're basically just saying, hey, the part costed XYZ. We realize that we can't get it in a decent amount of time.
Right.
Because that's also something out of our control. The parts for appliances there's many news articles about just the
Supply. Yeah.
yeah. And so what we'll do is we usually give enough money that people are just like cool and we're done with the claim. So we close it out at that point. They go buy their washer, dryer, dishwasher, whatever it is, they have it installed. Usually Lowe's or Home Depot will install it for them.
Yeah. Let's go back a bit. Does your company offer, I think they're called seller plans, where if I want to list my home, I could go ahead and get a plan in place?
Yeah, we do. We actually have it's a good and it's a great thing to do. If you're a seller and you're listening to this, it's a good thing to do because it offers you some repairs while your house is on the market. Because one thing as a seller, a lot of times we don't want to put more money into our house if we don't have
Right.
to. Like we know there's
Right.
some things we probably should do, but we don't really want to go buy a new water heater if we don't have to, right?
Right.
So having that seller's plan, yes, that's exactly what it's there for. It is usually typically goes on the home the day that the home hits the MLS, and then it's good for 180 days while you're waiting for your house to sell. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long for you and move on
Right.
quickly. But it works pretty much just like a buyer's policy. You can file claims on it. You pay the trade call fee. It really is very, very similar. The only difference with it is it does have a cap on the plan, which is a $3,000 cap, just because it's essentially a free policy. So we have to
Right.
put a limit somewhere. But it is good. It's a good thing to have. A lot of listing agents add them to their listings. So if
And
you're a
then you
seller
can
and you're listening, definitely
and
do
then
it.
you can pass it on to the buyer, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly what we're trying. That's kind of why home warranty companies offer listing coverage is they want to try to get the capture rate of the
Mhm.
buyer, which in reality, it's good for the buyer because it shows a history versus just on the day of close. Because if the
Right.
house went on the market, say July 1st, and it was on the market until September 15th, and then they closed October 15th, really and truly, if the buyer goes with us, it looks like the policy is 3 or 4 months old, which does nothing but help them in a claim scenario. So
Ah,
yeah, we do want to try and capture the buyer, and that's why it's a benefit for the buyer as well.
well, let me
Plus,
ask, go
if the
ahead.
seller, yeah, if the seller had like, let's say the seller had a claim on it and they had an issue with it and it rolled over to the buyer would have that history of that claim. So it's usually just a much smoother transition for a buyer.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, because I do a lot of listing of homes. let's say we've gone through the inspection process and the buyer says your oven's not heating properly. Would the would the seller then call the home warranty people to address it, or would that, how does
So
that work?
we don't like to say that we're necessarily a quote unquote punching bag for the inspection, right? I
Right.
would say you're kind of taking a gamble on that one because what it really and truly is set up for is really non-inspection issues. It's really just, hey, the house is on the market, you're waiting for a buyer, and then the oven goes.
Something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I kind of guessed that, but I wanted to ask anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good question.
So, what should people look for in a home warranty policy? Obviously, as you said, read the fine print. And are there other things that you can? What if you have a refrigerator in the garage? What if you have a swimming pool? Are there add-ons you can get?
Yeah. So when it comes to what you're looking for with home warranty companies, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to go look at reviews. Don't shop online, but go look at reviews. Reviews speak a lot for themselves.
Yes.
Also, I think it's very important to go with a known name company. When you start getting into companies, because there's a lot of home warranty companies now and they're really starting to pop up and a lot don't stay in business long too. So you really, if it's not somebody that people are familiar with or they've never heard of it, or there's not a whole lot, the website's not completely put together, there's just a few things as a consumer you should kind of look for. I would say definitely look at reviews. That's always helpful. The other thing too is looking for sometimes a warranty that doesn't do every single thing. And what I mean by that is like carpet cleaning, window washing, termites, sprinkler. When you start allocating money for all those different pots of things, you pull from the stuff that I think is really important, like air conditioners and water
Mhm.
heaters. And, so be careful that if it sounds too good to be true, it may be.
Probably is.
It probably is. And the last thing, which I think is probably the most important, is finding local representatives who work for these companies. Because,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
the reality is we all know what it's like to call an 888 number. And if you're in the middle of a claim, it's one of the last things you want to do. So it's just, the world is getting less and less of a tangible person to talk to. So you need advocates on your side. So my biggest thing is find local reps. Like you have to have somebody that you're like, okay, they live in Houston, they're around, I know I can call them if I need them. That's a big one for me.
It is for me too, quite frankly. Absolutely.
Because I want to be able to talk to somebody through a problem, and I hate automatic systems that just go circle after circle after circle. So that would be the big thing. Now, as far as if you have extras, so a lot of people do have pools in Houston, but not everybody. So they
Right.
are considered an additional add-on. Pool, for example, is $190 per year. So if you want to add it to your plan, you can. We have things like septic and well. Those are also
Oh,
add-ons.
okay.
Not everybody has a septic system
No.
or a well. Other add-ons, you're right. Like a lot of us have deep freezers, or some of us have wine fridges. Those are all add-ons too. You can add on additional appliances if you have them too. So the main things that I see as far as add-ons are pools, septic, wells. Those are usually what we have to add on for people when they have it. And it's not a bad price. I mean, 190 for the entire year for your pool is a pretty good deal.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I keep talking a lot about appliances, probably because I'm a big cook. I like, I keep
Yeah.
talking about but let's talk about the mechanical part. What are some things that are covered that maybe people don't even realize is an option? I mean, you said we talked about garbage disposals. That's an
Yeah.
appliance. I'm right back in appliances again. Okay. I'll shut up.
You're
You
fine. Here's
talk.
a good one. Here's a good one. Rekey. I think so many people don't. I'm going to say that again because people are like, what did you say? Rekey. So a lot of people pass on this. They don't even think about it. Rekey is literally rekeying your locks. So you move into a house, the seller gives you the keys, but who knows who else had a copy of that key, right?
Yeah. You need to do
So
that immediately.
yeah, and we all usually do, but nobody really, it's very rare that people file it through the home warranty company and they have coverage for that. So we have a whole line item that's a rekey that you just pay the trade call fee and it will cover 6 keys and 6 locks. So
That's
usually front
great.
door, back door, garage. That's one that I really see overseen that a lot of people don't file claims on, and they should. We also have a feature where if you need like say something happens with the roof and it's not a huge repair, but it's a minor repair. We have a section called limited roof leak. That's actually a pretty good little coverage just for something
Absolutely.
like a little shingle or something. So you don't have to pay a ton for a roofer to come out and look at it. That's one that I think doesn't get filed very often just because
Right.
people don't really think about it. So there's things in here that people kind of pass on because they don't even think about it. The other thing I would say is don't forget that you have it. It's unfortunate sometimes people will like replace a water heater and then be like, "Oh shoot, I had the warranty and I could have
Yeah.
filed it." I think that that happens sometimes because people will call me and be like, "Can I get reimbursed?" And unfortunately, we can't reimburse you if you didn't go through the process, right? So
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of little things like that that I think sometimes people just forget. So don't forget about rekey. That's a good one. You're gonna
It
do it
is.
anyway. So you might as well file, and you can actually file that claim. I tell people to do it as soon as they have the clear to close. So file it when you get the clear to close, and then that way it's getting done pretty much the day of closing or the next
Perfect.
day.
Oh, that's good. I didn't realize you could file or request that before closing. That's
Yeah,
great.
that's the one claim that we allow to be filed before we've closed.
Perfect. Well,
Yep.
what else? Common things that maybe mistakes or common things that people mistakenly think about home warranties. What can we talk about here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one big myth in the industry is that we're an emergency service. And I hate to talk about some of these things because I know they're not always the funnest, especially in like heated seasons like June, July, and August. But home warranty companies, they're budget protection plans and they're here to save people money. And it's not always time, right? So I try to explain to people you can file the claim, but there's still a process that you do have to go through. So the big thing that I try and tell all the buyers that I talk to is we're not emergency services. If you want to save money, this is the best way to do it. But just know that it could be a day or two before an AC tech is out to your house. With that being said, this is Houston and we have so many air conditioners and a very few amount of technicians for the amount of air conditioners. So
Yeah.
even if you don't have a warranty, you're probably going to wait a day or two anyway to get a tech to your house, unless you're just willing to pay $7.50 an hour. But that's a big one that I think people think we're like handyman services, next day service, and we're just not, right? We're in a warranty company. Another big one too is I think people think that if we ask for an inspection report, we're trying to deny something. This is a
Mm.
really big one, even in the real estate community. So how it works when a home warranty company gets to the point that they're asking for an inspection report, it's because the claim is already denied. So
Oh,
we've already went through the entire process and the claim is denied. So we're giving you one opportunity to show us, hey, is it on the inspection report or not? And if it's not, that's great. We can get this turned around for you. So that's a big one.
yeah.
That's a myth I would love to squash in the real estate community that we're not asking for them to deny claims. They already are. So
Hmm.
um mold comes up a lot with consumers. I get a lot of phone calls about mold. Mold is not a home warranty item.
No.
Mold is a growth, so you need to contact a mold specialist.
Right.
Unfortunately, when we were getting all that rain, and I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, we had freezing pipes
Oh,
in
yes.
February. So these are all considered act of God. Those would not be home warranty eligible.
Okay.
So just things like that. When those big kind of disasters like that happen from weather, they're not covered by home warranty companies.
Okay. Well, that
Um,
actually makes sense, but I
yeah,
can see when emergencies happen, people are looking for any help they can get.
definitely. Yeah, and I don't blame them. I understand it's stressful. We're all kind of stressed out with different scenarios that happen during those times. So I get it. They're trying to figure out who they can go to, but not warranty, not us on those ones.
Now, I'm probably going to ask an impossible question, but you talked about denying a claim. What would cause a claim to be denied?
Typically, why claims get denied is it was broken items before the person bought the home.
Okay.
So
Pre-existing
um,
condition, so to speak.
basically, you can't crash a car and add insurance, same difference. You can't have a
Okay.
broken air conditioner and oh well, those sellers are buying you a warranty, so it's covered. That's not how that works. Typically, and technicians can tell. They're not new to this. They can go out to something and they know if it's been 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years that it's
Uh,
been broken. So it's usually things that were already already broken to begin with.
Already an issue. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, Mauri, we're just about out of time. So is there anything you'd like to add or anything we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
I would just say, make sure that you're reaching out to local reps. Find somebody that is honest with you. My job, and I've always been this way, is to just tell people the reality to home warranty.
Thank you.
I don't love sales pitches. Like when people call me,
No.
we just shoot it to me straight, right? And that's what I really truly tried to do. So look for your reviews, call the local reps. As a consumer, I know there's a lot, especially if you're buying a house, there's a lot of paperwork and there's
Oh,
just a
yes.
lot of things to do. And I know it can be overwhelming, but call me. And it only takes me 5-6 minutes of their time, and I can help make sure that they understand it so that when a claim situation happens, they're not panicking. And
Right.
that's the biggest thing that I would say for warranty is be open-minded, know that they have their limitations too, but overall, they really save people a lot of money and they're a good product. And I have a lot of happy clients. I have a lot of people that actually renew every single year. I have a lot of
Fantastic.
renewal clients. So that speaks for itself that when it comes to something, I definitely will
Yes,
try and help you. Customer service still matters. So
it
make
does.
sure you're reaching out to reps. That's my biggest thing.
Okay. Well, if someone wants to reach out to you to ask a question or whatever, we will have your contact information in the
Perfect.
podcast at the bottom of the podcast, and this does go out on YouTube the following week. But would you like to give any contact information right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will give my phone number just so you
Okay.
have it. That's
Okay.
my cell. So it's 832-732-3152.
Fantastic.
Yep. And then I will let you leave my email too, just so that, because that one's I have an interesting last name. So if I spell it out, we'd be here for a minute. So
Okay.
anyways, but yeah, I'll let you leave my email there. I'm happy to
Okay.
help anybody with any questions, whether you're buying a house or not. We can get you set up on a good, oh, and the other thing too, because budgets, this is important too. Budgets are a thing that we're all dealing with different budgets right now, right?
Right.
One thing that Choice does is we actually started payment plans. There's not a fee to do it. We literally
Oh,
just take the 660, divide it by 12, and there's you a monthly. It's $55 a month. So
that's fantastic.
that's a big one. So
Yeah.
whether you're going through a closing or not, they're really not that expensive to get if you think about it. So
Not for what you get in return.
correct. Yep, exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Mauri. I really
Yeah,
appreciate you taking time to talk to us today.
yeah,
And please,
absolutely.
if you have any questions, all of you listening out there, please give her a call.
All righty. Thanks you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. Be sure not to miss our upcoming episodes loaded with fantastic insights, expert tips, and all the latest trends in the property scene. Don't forget to stay connected with us on our Trilogy Realty Group socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. Until next time, take care.